Thank you. Call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7:01 p.m. Please stand and join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I do. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 18th, 2018.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. This requires a roll call vote. No, it does not. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. At this time, Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the first continued public hearing?
I certainly will. The first continued public hearing is relative to amending sections of Chapter 10 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, Chapter 10, Motor Vehicles and Parking, as it pertains to Beagle Club Road.
Thank you. That public hearing is continued to 12/18/18.
Okay. The next continued public hearing is relative to adding a section to Chapter 10, Motor Vehicles and Parking of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro. The addition of Section 15 would address smoking restrictions in motor vehicles with children in car seats.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Is there anyone neither for nor against? Councilor Holmes, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
That public hearing is also closed. Thank you. Moving on to the next continued public
The
hearing.
next one is a continued public hearing relative to the amended 2019 Class 2 auto license application from David Montenegro, doing business as Old School Auto Sales at 187 Cumberland Avenue, Attleboro, for 29 display parking spaces and 4 customer parking spaces.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is David Montenegro, and I'm basically just expanding the business from 16 display spaces to 29. And I'm at 100% on the lemon law stickers as well. I was notified that I was not, but I am now.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Montenegro? Councilor Conti?
Yes, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. First name, Eden?
Excuse me?
First name. Your first name?
First name is David.
David.
Yes, David.
David, I couldn't quite hear you, and I apologize. So, do you currently own and operate a car dealership?
I do. Old School Auto Sales.
Old School Auto Sales in Attleboro?
Correct.
And how long have you been managing that?
I've been there since 2015.
2015?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for the gentleman? Councilor Dolan?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
And so I just wanted to let everybody know that we've been working together. He has a lot that he was always over on his cars, and so he went and hired an engineer and redid his lot plan, had it approved by the building commissioner, and he was a little under on his lemon law, where he was placing the stickers, so he fixed that. So he's been doing everything that I've asked of him to come into compliance, and he knows what to do going forward, right?
I do. Yes.
And I too, thank you, David, for last weekend. We all got the notice about lemon laws, and he explained to me that they were in the wrong spot on his cars, and he reported tonight that he fixed that, but I didn't think last 2 weeks ago was appropriate having. We just got that notification from the state to have him come before us if he wasn't prepared to speak about that, so that's why we continued. So thank you for that. Thank you for being in contact with Councilor Dolan and calling her back. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else, any other questions? No. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition of the Class 2 license for Old School Auto Sales? Is there anyone neither for nor against? Laura, don't go away because I'm going to close the public hearing.
Okay.
Is there anyone here to speak neither for nor against? Hearing none. Councilor Dolan, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
Thank you. That public hearing is also closed. Thank you.
Okay, the next, the next continued public hearing is in order to receive testimony from the licensee or representative and for the city council to vote on the continued status of Class 2 license of Looney Tune Auto Sales, 826 Washington Street, Attleboro.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Good evening, Council.
Thank you. Good evening. Your name and address for the record, sir?
Constantino Lima, 551 Reed Schoolhouse Road, Rhode Island, Coventry, Rhode Island.
Thank you.
I will be closing on January 1st due to rental.
Okay.
I believe that his, the landlord's selling the
Okay.
building.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Lima? Any questions for the
I
gentleman?
didn't quite understand that, Mark. He's going to be closing?
And he
I'm
didn't,
gonna be closing due to rental agreement.
You're closing the business down,
Correct.
so he's not requesting a license for it.
he has not applied for a 2019.
Yeah.
This was a revocation hearing, a potential revocation hearing for his existing 2018 license.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Council Dolan?
So, but you did do what we asked you to do, correct?
Yes,
So you
yes.
have,
I-
we asked you to come with a plan, and you have that with you, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, did you want to read that to us, or did you want to hand it in to Virginia? Do you want him to?
I think you should, if you have some documentation of what we asked, I think the biggest thing is your tenancy in the city. If you don't have a building to be in business at, it's hard for us to grant a license, right? So
Correct.
you can submit that, and if in the meantime you find something, you can apply for a new license at that time. But I think the council has a duty to act on the existing public hearing, and we can close it tonight if there's no one else here to speak one way or the other, and then make a decision on your existing license, and then you can, move forward. But you should submit anything that you have to Virginia. She'll take that for you.
Okay,
And we'll
thank
get
you.
that into the record for you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Council Dolan, do you see any reason to keep that public hearing open?
I don't.
That public hearing is also closed.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is relative to the application for a special permit pursuant to Section 17-10.15 marijuana business of the revised ordinances from BCWC LLC, 34 Extension Street, Attleboro, to operate a marijuana cultivator, marijuana product manufacturer, and marijuana retailer at 34 Extension Street, said premises being Assessors Plat 147, Lot number 5C, with an area of 1.77 acres located in an industrial zoning district.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Good evening. Michael Minot, I'm an attorney here on behalf of the applicant, BCWC, doing business as Bristol County Wellness Center. The applicant's here tonight, as indicated, on an application for a special permit to operate a business as a marijuana cultivator, marijuana product manufacturer, and a marijuana retailer at the address of 34 Extension Street. The applicant did previously receive a special permit from the, from the municipal council to operate a registered marijuana dispensary at this same location, and the application before the council is substantially similar to that which was previously submitted in connection with that application. I'm going to turn it over now to the president and CEO of BCWC, Derek Ross, and he can answer any further questions that you have and introduce the additional members of the entity here tonight. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So,
So just your name and address for the record.
Derek Ross, 679 Washington Street, Attleboro, Massachusetts, 02703.
Great, thank you.
I am the president and CEO of BCWC. We've applied with the state for 3 additional licenses, which will all be housed under this same facility. We have previously obtained an RMD provisional license. Logistically, with the facility, nothing's actually changing. They're the same engineered plans that we submitted to the city that all the department heads have approved. Cultivation will be the same SOPs. Security will be the same. The only thing that will be changing is we'll be able to sell to adults 21 plus. We did appear before the city council last month to change our retail from the interior of our building to an additional location in the building, the outside where it says new dispensary. That was going to allow us to draw a hard line from manufacturing and retail so that we can secure all of our cultivation, product manufacturing to one side of the building and really just clean up the operations. We've been approved for our product manufacturing license with the state, as well as our cultivation license with the state as well. Our retail application with the state has been submitted. We just received completed application status for that as well. We're here before you tonight to get a special permit to operate a marijuana establishment and house all these licenses under that same facility. I have with me tonight different directors on our board who specialize in different areas of the operation. John Kenyon, licensing. Ted Grillo is security. And Zach Allen is seed to sale tracking.
Any questions for Mr. Ross from the council? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from your team that you want to address the council at this time before I call for anyone else in favor? Mr. Ross?
If there's any other additional questions, we
Okay.
don't mind answering questions.
Okay. Council Gobles?
Can you talk a little bit about the security without going into anything confidential as far as what you guys have in place, who's managing the security, anything you can say about the security of the facility? I
Sure.
can say that it's the same as what we were about.
I'll touch on it briefly. I have Ted Grillo here. He specializes specifically on the security. He's worked with our security consultants designing our facility. But overview, we have over 50 cameras stuffed into this 27,000 square feet. We have an additional 15 cameras on the exterior as well. Every registered agent of this facility has to go through vigorous background checks to even be able to get into the facility in certain areas. Each area is dedicated to certain individuals. Not just one person's going to be able to enter into secured areas that their passes don't grant them to. Our surveillance system is 24 hours. It has a 90-day backup. It's hooked directly up to the chief of police, the Attleboro Police Department. And in the event that we were to lose power or power failure, we have backup generators that will bring it back online, and over 90 days of backed up supply that's the state has put in their regulations that we have to comply with.
Great, thank you. Does that answer your question?
Did you want any more on security? Did you want to talk to Ted as well?
I just said, I forget what the term is called when somebody's buying marijuana from a facility and then reselling it or additionally selling it afterwards. Is there anything in place to combat that sort of?
Diversion?
Diversion, yes.
Sure. Seed to sale tracking. From the seed to the sale of the product, it's tracked. It's given a unique identification label from its earliest stages in germination right to the actual sale of the product inside of its package. Each one of those identification labels are linked to a batch. So if it was found anywhere, it'd be linked directly to us and directly to the batch that it was within and who was involved with it while it was being cultivated and manufactured.
Does that?
That answers my question. Thank you.
Council Blair?
When you say it was linked, once it's out of the package or repackaged, you wouldn't be able to trace it?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Council Holmes?
So when are you planning on opening that?
We received our building permits last month, and we've started construction. The demo is completed. There was engineering we had to do to comply with energy regulations that the state mandated. So it flipped our design upside down, and we had to comply with those energy regulations. We anticipate starting construction back up in the next few weeks and being able to open doors mid-July of 2019.
Great. Council Dolan?
So what is this we're looking at here? Is this the retail portion? Is this what you will walk into?
Sure, this is just a rendering of what we anticipate the retail looking like. We wanted to make it as convenient as possible for consumers to be able to come in one door, buy their merchandise, and exit out an additional door without running into each other. So we built it in a square with the entrance on the left and the exit on the right. When the consumer enters the retail dispensary, they'll have to stop into a security checkpoint station where their IDs will be identified and scanned into our systems, and then they can make their purchase and then exit out the additional door.
So that's like all display areas around?
Sure, there'll be individual bud tenders at each one of those displays. We anticipate having about 8 registers specifically for the adult use, and an additional 2 registers specifically for the medical use. We have a hybridized license at this facility to do both adult and medical. So there'll be different stations depending on if they're a medical patient or just an adult use 21-plus-year-old patient.
So different stations within the same area? So medical and recreational people will go into the same area to purchase?
It'll be in the same area, but it'll be divided, not by a wall, but by a partition that will show you that medical's in a certain area.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Council Waterman?
Your parking situation, can you comment on that?
Sure. Over the last week or so, we've realized that parking has become a big issue here in the state of Massachusetts. We've reached out to the local police department to identify their protocols and how they would address it. We've been in communication with them on how they would like us to proceed before we open. We have yet to meet with the chief of police, who wants to handle this directly, but it looks like we'll have a couple details for the first 30 days of opening to direct traffic and be able to organize the traffic situation. Luckily for us, unlike the dispensaries or the marijuana establishments that have opened, they've only had a handful of parking spaces. Our facility has almost 100 parking spaces. So I believe 78 of those spaces are our spaces. The additional 28 spaces are owned by our neighbor, who has given us verbal approval to utilize them as well, Stony Lee. But as far as parking goes, we're on the dead-end street, and we have almost 100 parking spaces to get over that logistical issue with the parking.
If I can just go forward with the question that he just answered. I'm John Kenyon. I'm one of the directors of BCWC LLC. There are actually 69 parking spaces on the site, 28 off-site, for a total of 97. I also wanted to comment on the question on security. We have applied for and received the building permits. The police department, the police chief has gone through our security plan, and he's approved that so far. So that has happened along with the fire chief, right?
Yes.
And regarding the separation between adult use and recreational, not only are there separate lines, we also will have a private area for patients if they need to speak confidentially with a representative.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Kenyon or Mr. Ross? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition?
My name is John Sertus. I am the building and business owner at 15 Extension Street, a forensic engineering firm. I'm a licensed professional engineer in Massachusetts. I just have concerns because knowing the Extension Street and hearing of the parking problems that have been recently experienced in Western Mass, Extension Street is a very narrow street. I'm concerned that the parking lot is going to be filled beyond capacity very quickly, as well as the spill-off lot from my adjacent neighbor as well. I'm concerned that there is going to be on-the-street parking on Extension Street, which is, again, a very narrow street, and that will impede traffic, it will impede safety, accessing my business and the businesses adjacent to me and the new one proposed across the street. I'm concerned that it's not the right layout for this type of facility of a retail establishment.
Thank you. Any, Council Blair?
Your parking for your establishment, is it off the street? Do you have off-street parking for your
Yes.
establishment?
Yes.
Do you feel it's adequate, or do you need space on the street for visitors or anything?
Occasionally, there is some on-the-street parking of a car or two, but we're a forensic engineering and fire investigation firm. We conduct equipment examinations with a handful of people.
Your building is across the street.
Across the street and on the right-hand side, the first one on Extension Street.
If that street was no parking, period, would that affect you adversely?
Not adversely, but slightly, if there was no on-street parking.
Okay. Would you rather see that than maybe a problem with excess cars on the street?
I see if there's any sort of response like they had in Western Mass, I can see those parking lots becoming filled to capacity very quickly and spill off onto the street. If you have parking on both sides of the street, that road will be impassable.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Council Cobus?
And I assume I know the answer to this, but have you seen the chief of police's plan for that first 30 days and how he intends to handle the traffic, or?
No, but what happens on day 31?
My assumption is whatever that plan is would extend for however long this is busy before it drops off. But my point is, can we, because we've discussed this, can we request a copy of the chief of police?
And the
chief's
committee
plan?
chair could call him and talk
Perfect.
through that with
Okay.
him, too.
So we'll get a copy of that plan to try to understand it better and bear
Thank
that in mind.
Thank you. Any other questions for the gentleman? Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition? Anyone else here to speak in opposition?
Francis Balut from 120 Carrier Avenue, South Attleboro. I have a number of concerns in reference to many people, but first I would like to know, they would be selling what? What would they actually be selling at that address, 34 Extension Street?
Francis? Marijuana.
What kind of marijuana? They say a retailer. A retailer can make
Lots of
smoking
different.
pipes. They can make vaporizers. So I would like somebody from the organization to explain in detail exactly what items are sold.
Okay.
Okay, so that's. Is there anybody here who knows that?
Do we give him the, we're not getting into a debate about,
Well, it's not a
There's
debate, it's
there's-
just a question.
the application is there, we can talk after, and I'll give you the lowdown.
Okay, I'd like to list the concerns. Number one, we all know that even though Joe Kennedy is in favor of medical marijuana, the Sun Chronicle newspaper does say he has concerns, like our governor of Massachusetts. He has concerns. The police chief, and this one here, it's not just my camera in this case, but it's my answering machine at home. He had told me personally that he would not want to see any more businesses come into the area of the industrial zone where the marijuana would be being sold. And then as far as Joe Kennedy, he's a Democrat, but nevertheless, he stated like even what's happening currently down in Denver.
Francis, I'm gonna put you back on the tracks here.
Okay.
I want to know, or we want to hear from you, why you are opposed to this particular application. We, at this point, are not interested in why you are opposed to marijuana in general, or Joe Kennedy, or anybody else. The voters spoke about that, and we have an ordinance about it. So I want to know, and we want to know from you, particularly on this application, what are you opposed to?
Okay. At this point, I am opposed to them being a retailer because it's not spelled out anyplace so that myself or the public would know. Second, I am, and even though there was a long conversation at the barber shop today in South Attleboro, this person was, lots of tattoos, but nevertheless, he said he would not use marijuana, and he felt that the public should have the ability to make the money from the sales. Problem is, a lot of that money goes towards these rehabilitating type centers. It goes with possibly employing a couple of more police officers. And the general quality of life is deteriorating. And that's from everything from what I read, I see, people that I speak with. And I'm disappointed to see in the newspaper the number of times that this marijuana that puts a person in a high condition is referred to recreation. I just want the public, all the councilors again, to realize this is not a recreational drug. It is an adult age 21 and older. And there's no benefit of seeing it. I have personally seen people who have been on marijuana and they're passed out.
Back on track.
So with that, if there's any other questions, I will...
Any questions for Mr. Balut at this time? Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Pat.
Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Is there anyone here to speak neither for nor against? Councilor Copus, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
Thank you. I'm going to close that public hearing, and we're going to move on to the next.
Okay, the next public hearing is relative to the application for a special permit pursuant to Section 17-10.15, marijuana business of the revised zoning ordinance from the Leonard J. Irving Center, Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, Mass., to operate a medical marijuana treatment center at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. Said premises being Assessor's Plat number 147, lot number 5F, with an area of 1.1434 acres, located in an industrial zoning district.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to?
Mr. President, members of the council, Jack Jacoby, 144 Bank Street. I represent this applicant. I believe there are 5 related public hearings. I understand that we can't combine them all into one. But what I'd like to do is to give you an overview so you understand where we're going in each hearing, and also particularly speak about this one that you've called. So if you bear with me, we have updated plans that we would like to hand out to everybody, because we had submitted some plans and we've tweaked them. And in addition to that, filed some additional materials with the council office last week, but we thought that if we just gave you a current set of plans, you could get rid of all the other paper and only need the current set.
Should we get rid of this?
Okay.
We will need this.
Those, yes, you still need that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the application. The site plans and the interior plans are slightly different. I get one of those too. So just so you know who the players are and where we're going, the principals of all of the applicants before you are John and Ashley Irving. You may know them. They are the proprietors of the Two Friends Farm on West Street, and they have been growing herbs and vegetables and lettuce and other greenery for quite a while and have established a successful business there. And so this is a natural outgrowth for them to go into growing a different kind of herb. What they have done is that we have established Ashley's Farm, Inc., which is going to be the grower of the marijuana. We have Ashley's Extracts, Inc., which is going to be the manufacturer of marijuana products. We have Ashley's, Inc., which is going to be the adult retail sales outfit. We have the Leonard J. Irving Center, Inc., which is the medical marijuana seller. We have received provisional licenses from the state for the three Ashley's corporations and are a lease away from fulfilling the requirements of the DPH for the medical marijuana. In addition to John and Ashley, John's brother Bob is a principal, and Ashley's father, Roy Lambert, is a principal. Those are the people who are basically the principals of these entities. So you know what we have. This is 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. This is the old Fox Molding building. And right now there is a 12,000 square foot building on that site. This is a vacant land here, which we have under agreement with Orion Realty, Ward and Bailey. We have formed 76 Frank Mossberg Drive LLC to be the owner of this, purchase it from Orion, and it will be the landlord then to all of the operations here. We have formed 70 Frank Mossberg Drive LLC. You can see there's a pattern there. And it actually owns this. We've already completed the purchase, and it will be the landlord to the operations that occur here. The intention is to knock down the 12,000 square foot building and put up a much smaller building, which will be 3,520 square feet. And that will house both the medical marijuana sales and the adult retail sales. The current parking plan shows 40 spaces on site. Next door, we have a very large metal building. It's 130,982 square feet, of which 118,809 is going to be the growing area. 7,122 is the manufacturing area, and then the offices for 5,051. And those will all be located here. Because of the enormous cost of building this facility, current intention, unless the financing changes, is to build this line here. This is the dividing line. So this would be phase one. And so all the operations would be here. And then in a year after that, we would propose to build phase two, which would just be more of the same. So this area of 68,139 square feet would be the first thing that we would build. And this area of 62,843 would be the second area. We have 90 parking spaces on site over here. We are expecting at the height of operations to have 60 to 80 employees working over here. So this will be intended to be only employee parking. It is, I guess, available for overflow parking if needed, but we do have 40 spaces on site here for a relatively small area. You can also see the elevations that have been drawn that show you what it is that the buildings will look like. This is the current conditions plan, so you can see this is basically a hill, and this hill has to be level. And this is where the current building is. That's the demolition plan. So here is again that same site plan that you see color with the various on numerous occasions and with the police chief. So we have fencing that starts here at the beginning. This is the detention pond, and this is the detention pond in the front, and then the driveway comes through here. This is a detention pond, so we have fencing that goes all the way around the building, and then it comes over and meets the fencing over here.
Jack, do you mind just taking the microphone out of there and holding it that, the word they can't hear you, it's up on the...
It's on the side.
It's on the...
No. This work? Okay. Is that better?
I think so.
So we have fencing, and in consultation with the police chief, he has recommended that we put 2 feet of barbed wire on top of 6-foot chain link fence. And just to make sure that the only people who can come into this site come in through this driveway, and the only people who come into the site will come into the driveway over here from Frank Mossberg Drive. And without going into security too much, there are camera positions and other things that are directed to that. This is a 75-foot Algonquin gas easement that's back here, and then the golf course is behind it. So one of the things I want to tell you is that we are before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we are before the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission has sent the stormwater out for the Horsley Witten engineering firm to review. We just got the report back. That will be probably, hopefully finalizing in January with the Conservation Commission, our stormwater operation. That basically everything gets into these, and there's infiltration into the ground, and then there's also overflow into the street. Right now, this site just comes right off the hill, and there is no stormwater control. And there's really not much over here either. The building was built way before anybody thought of stormwater controls. In addition, because this is residentially zoned, we had to ask the zoning board for a variance. But our argument, which I hope they accept, is that with the something like 25 feet, actually 45 feet that we have back here, plus the 75 feet for the gas line, before you get to the golf course, we have more than 100 feet, and no house could ever be built on the gas line. So even if someday the golf course was sold and became housing, no houses would be closer than 100 feet to the site. Also, we need an earth removal permit, because even though we're not taking earth off the site, we're leveling the site. So we're before the zoning board for that as well. We have a continued hearing coming up next Thursday with them, and we're hopeful that at some point in January, they and the Conservation Commission will both finish, which would mean that we could then ask you to take some action on this. Obviously, tonight, we're going to be asking for this to be continued, because we need to make sure that the zoning board and the Conservation Commission grant us the relief needed before we could ask you for any other relief. plan shows the interior. Okay. So in particular, you're asking at this hearing about the Leonard J. Irving Center and the retail operation, actually the medical marijuana operation there. And so we have designed the new building, the new 3520 square foot building, so that there is an entrance here and there's a security right here. And so they would have to show their ID and if it's medical, their medical ID to the security agent in order to be buzzed through this door. And they come around here into a waiting area, and we will have iPads available if they've been there before and know what they want so that they can place an order on an iPad. If they are first-timers or need some help, there's a patient consultation area here that they can speak to one of the company's representatives about. This is our IT room, that's our office.
Jack, just pause here 1 second. Plan A1.1 in this one?
A1.1.
Is what he's looking at.
And so in the waiting area, then, they will stay there until a sales representative comes to get them. Sales representative will take them through this door and into this area. In the middle of the retail area, there will be a locked glass case with representative products displayed so that they can look at what they want and make their choices. Once the sales associate and the customer agree on what's needed, we've got a number of cash registers here. So we have recreational cash registers, and we have the medical marijuana cash register. By law, those have to be separated. And then what happens is that you go up there, the order is placed. The secure storage area, there's an order picker. The order picker picks the order, delivers it out through the window to the cashier. The transaction is paid for, and then the person can go out through this door. So like the previous hearing where you've separated the in and out, this is something that we've also done, is have a secure entrance here and a secure entrance or secure exit, but a separate way for them to go out. So that is the medical marijuana use at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. And then I think probably it'd be better to go into some more detail on other things later, but just suffice it to say that at 76, because of the way state law is, the Leonard J. Irving Center is required to have growing facilities and manufacturing facilities. They'll just be co-located with the retail in the same building next door at 76.
Can I ask a question before we get into too much detail of the Leonard J. Irving Center at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive? Can I step back to the overall summary of everything and just double check that my understanding is correct? So 70 Frank Mossberg Drive is the smaller location, correct? And at that location is where the two retail entities will be, Leonard J. Irving for medical and Ashley's Inc. for adult use, correct?
That is correct.
And then the other three applications for Ashley's Extracts, Ashley's Farm, and then Leonard J. Irving Center again are for 76 Frank Mossberg Drive, and at that location will only be cultivation and manufacturing, correct?
That is correct.
There won't be any retail at 76 Frank Mossberg.
You are absolutely correct.
Okay, I just wanted to double check and make sure my understanding.
So we would have no reason for the public to come in
course,
here.
yeah.
Only employees would come in here. And we've intentionally separated that.
That was all. I just wanted to double check my understanding.
Councilor Delisi.
Just follow up to Council Corbus's question. When you're differentiating the two plots, you have 70 Frank Mossberg Drive, you said you have 40 parking spaces.
Yes,
Where you have 90 at 76, which you could use for potentially overflow.
if we had to.
If you had to, on the plan, is there going to be a path in between the two, a walkway in between the two, or are you going to have them walk up the driveway? It's probably relatively small, I get that, but
It's relatively steep here, but if we found that we needed to use some of this parking for that,
Yeah.
then we'd put a walkway in.
okay.
Obviously, you wouldn't want to make people go all the way out like that.
Sure.
That wouldn't be safe either.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the council at this point?
So, let me just say that we are hoping that this building will be open in a year. And that would depend on two things. One is that we would have to be able to get product from another source because this building is going to take longer than that. So if we have to wait for our own product to be available, the time frame is this. We're expecting that we could start in 30 to 60 days after all permits are in place. There's 9 to 12 months of construction, and then there's 5 months for the first product to be ready for sale, because you got to grow it and you got to manufacture it. So we are looking at somewhere in the range of 18 months or so to get the first half of this open and up and running. And one of the things that I know has been of concern to everyone is traffic. And so we have a traffic report that says that there shouldn't be a problem, but I think that that traffic report was not based on what happened in Leicester. And so I think that first of all, Bristol Wellness will be open well in advance of us. And so I think that the concept in Attleboro is, where everybody has to rush in those first 30 or 60 days, probably will be long since past. But we would expect that we have adequate parking facilities to handle the need because of the fact that it's a year and maybe even approaching 2 years from now before we really are up and running.
Other questions for Attorney Jacoby? Go ahead.
Jack, can you point out on your map, because I see you have Extension Street right there, where are your facilities in conjunction to BCWC?
This is the end of Extension Street, they're down the end of it. So this is Frank Mossberg Drive, Moran's is over here.
Yep.
And so this is the building at 35, and this is the building at 34, actually, I think, right here, if I can see it. So they are on the left side down at the end of the circle.
So, if I follow. So you're thinking that realistically for their retail and yours, you're looking at probably a 6-month gap in between when they're open and then when you're open? Because I'm just trying to be cognizant of the concern Mr. Surtees brought up.
And that was certainly a valid concern for him to bring up. I would expect that when things start in Attleboro, it will be like everywhere else, and there will be an initial rush. I also remember when my client Carpianato opened the Chick-fil-A in South Attleboro, and they were stacked up double line, and now it's calmed down a bit. So I would expect that that once a number of places are open in the Commonwealth, and we're not the first in Attleboro, that we'll end up with a reasonable amount of traffic. And of course, the hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Not sure if we're going to open exactly that early in the morning, but we are asking for the 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. that the ordinance allows. That will depend, obviously, on business. Not sure how many people are going to go out at 8 o'clock in the morning to buy marijuana products. With regard to a question that Mr. Balud asked about what is to be sold, we will be selling marijuana buds. We will be selling pre-rolled cigarettes, referred to as joints when I was growing up. And we also have creams and tinctures and oils, all that are available. So it's and edible products as well we're expecting to have, so cookies, brownies, those sorts of things. We recently met with the health department and took their concerns into account. We also have a letter from Tom Hayes from wastewater. I think his letter said he had no problem over here. He needed some more information over here, so we're going to address that with him. We've talked with Courtney Wunschel. Our water use is something that she says can be handled. And we met last week with the police chief and with Gary Arasian. We showed the security plans. The chief requested a couple of tweaks. I don't want to say what they were, but those are now incorporated into the plans, and we have refiled the plans with him that show what our security arrangements are. We do have our security consultants here tonight, and I know you'll probably want to ask a question, Counselor, but I guess the question is, should we stop now with the Leonard J. Irving Center, or do you want me to finish making the entire presentation?
It sort of feels to me like we, if the council's satisfied with questions on this particular one, we should go on to, is there anyone else in favor? And go to opposition, then neither for nor against for this one, and then your follow-up will be shorter since we had, you gave the overview, and but I have one follow-up question.
Sure.
The parking, when you come up Frank Mossberg and you go to where the gate is, there's that road that goes way back, and there's parking, and a portion of this property takes the majority of that parking lot. Does that have what's left for parking that's sort of cut off from your plan for this building that's left there?
Oh, I'm told that that's leased by Moran's.
This parking lot is?
The parking that's left that you referred to. I'm not sure exactly what you were saying, but I was just told that someone whispered in my ear that Moran's leases that parking.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions, Council Holmes?
Thank you. So from two questions. If you're going to have edible products, are they baked? Where would that take place, I guess?
In the manufacturing. That's part of the manufacturing license.
Okay. And then, so for the cultivation, there's a process to get it from one building to the next that's secure and safe?
Yes. This is the loading zone right here, and if I knew exactly where the plan was, I'd show you, and I probably will in a minute. Okay. But this is basically a sally port arrangement, similar to what the police have at the station next door. So when you come up here, the interior door has to be locked in order for this door to open. The vehicle then gets backed in. Then this door has to be locked in order for the interior door to open. Product would get loaded onto that vehicle, and then you reverse the procedure where the interior door has to be locked. The exterior door opens. They come out. They can bring product here next door. Over here, we have a slightly different sally port arrangement in the sense that we have an entirely fenced-in area here. And so they would come in, and this is the loading zone. You'll see the cross-hatched area there. And then again, we have a locking door system to securely deliver the product inside the building.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, we hope, because of the size of this building, to be selling to other retailers around Massachusetts. So in addition to our own vehicle going here, we would also expect that there will be, we'll be hiring a delivery service that will come in and pick up product to take to other customers that we may have.
Great.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Is there any other questions for Attorney Jacoby at this time?
So if you have no other questions, then I'll sit down for a minute and
Okay.
we'll start speaking again soon.
Great. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Is there anyone neither for nor against? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Hearing none. Council Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
At the request of Attorney Jacoby?
Yes, Mr. President, in order, you
Gotta
couldn't
get-
act until the zoning board and the
Right.
Conservation Commission finishes, so we would ask that you keep this open.
I agree.
I don't think so, but if they request any tweaks in our plan, we want to make sure that you end up with a plan that they've approved as well.
Keep it open.
Right, and I would expect any tweaks of those plans, you and your team would come forward to present to the council what those changes were as a result of zoning board, Concom, police, further review, any of that. So
Correct.
we will keep this open, and Jack, you can send us a letter tomorrow, because you're not going to have everything back by December 18th, are you?
Oh, no, there's no chance.
So,
You can suggest a date.
yeah, should we look at, yeah, you suggest the
I'll talk
date to us and we'll be
Virginia
fine.
And I'll send you a letter requesting a date
Perfect.
at some point in January.
Perfect, thank you. So that public hearing will remain open. Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the application, the hearing notice for the next public hearing,
Yes,
please?
public hearing relative to the application for a special permit pursuant to section 17-10.15, marijuana business of the revised zoning ordinance from the Ashley's Extracts, Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, Mass., to operate a marijuana product manufacturer at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessors Plat number 145, portion of lot number 1 with an area of 6.2842 acres located in an industrial zoning district.
Thank you, I just want to find my 145-1. Perfect. Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
President, members of the council, I'm still Jack Jacoby. I'm still at 144 Bank Street. And to the extent relevant, I'd like to ask you to incorporate many of the remarks that we made at the previous hearing into this one, just so that the record is complete. The facility, and this would be the half that would be built, this would be the second half that would be built. Basically, back here is all growing area. As I understand it, it's organic hydroponic growing. That is that, it's water-based growing. And of course, everything has to be organic. And we are expecting that about 50% of the crop will be dried, cured, and sold as is, or in pre-rolled cigarettes. And as I said before, that dried product would be sold to ourselves and also to other people around the Commonwealth. The other 50% of the crop is expected to be processed to extract oil. About 75% of that oil will be sold as oil at either wholesale or retail. And the other quarter would be used in products such as edibles, salves, and tinctures. We are expecting a CO2 extraction and perhaps an alcohol distillation method of extracting the oil. And I believe that this is the manufacturing area right up here in the building. We do have an individual here who is part of our team, and his name is Brent Van Ziel from Solid State Cultivation Consulting. If you'd like to hear more about the manufacturing process, I can bring him up.
Can you point to the manufacturing location again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
I believe it's this portion of the building right here.
Okay, thank you.
And then, is the shipping this one front, where you would come in, lock the door?
This is it right here.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
And, obviously, we have security office inside here, and we have various other security arrangements, none of which we would like to speak about publicly. The police chief did tell me that if any counselors had questions on the security plan, that they should contact him directly, and he would arrange to tell you what was appropriate in a private session. But obviously, you can't tell the world what your security is, because then it wouldn't be secure.
Thank you.
So would you like to hear from Mr. Van Ziel as to the manufacturing process, or?
I don't think so, unless anybody has any concern or wants,
Okay.
has any questions.
I also want to mention waste disposal. The leftover marijuana product, seeds and sticks and everything else, is mixed with a 50% inert mix, and then it goes into a compactor, and then it's shredded up and compressed, and it no longer constitutes a marijuana product at that point. And then I believe the compactor is in this area here. And so we would hire a company then to come and dispose of it properly. As mentioned before, everything is manifested, and you have a seed to end product procedure that the state mandates, so that you can tell everything where it came from, unless, of course, it's out of the package, and then you can't. But there's no other way that I know of to take care of that. We also have an odor mitigation system, so that there's a closed loop scrubbing system, so that no odors will escape the building. There's a procedure where fresh air comes in, and then the exhaust air goes out, but that exhaust air is scrubbed with carbon filters to eliminate any odors that any neighbors would not be able to see. We also have a lighting plan, which is somewhere in here. That lighting plan has basically dark sky capabilities, so that the light doesn't go up, it's directed down. Bill's going to show you where that plan is right now. And so we have wall packs on the building. We have poles in parking areas, and we have actually an additional version of this plan, which may be in your package, which shows that when there's no light spilling over onto any adjacent properties or roadways, which is the standard that you have to meet for every project anyway. Obviously, the lighting would be important for employees leaving after dark, and also for customers in the parking lot in the winter. And we would expect to turn the lights, the parking lot lights off within a half an hour or so after the employees leave. But the wall packs would stay on. That's an important security measure to make sure that if the police need to come to the site, that they have enough lighting to navigate around the building. We've also talked with the fire department, and if you look at the plans, you'll see that there's an area that's about 20 feet wide that allows them complete access around the building. Hopefully they would never have to respond, but if so, we have accommodated their requirements. That is, I guess one other thing is that we have a landscaping plan. Your ordinance requires us to talk about landscaping. There are a few small ornamental trees at the front at the street, but basically it's all low shrubs throughout the site, which is your requirement and certainly something that the police department wants to be able to have clear sight lines. With regard to money, I didn't mention before, but I understand now that they can take debit cards as well as cash. And so for the cash, we'd probably have to have an armored car pickup service. And we also understand that the Gardner Federal Credit Union is now accepting customers that are involved in the marijuana business, because that's always a key concern, is what do you do with all the cash? Those are pretty much the things that I wanted to address in this public hearing, unless there's questions.
Council Douglas?
So the one question I have with this is where this fairly large, not fairly large, this is a huge facility.
It's enormous.
It's absolutely. There will be 3 entities working out of this facility, 3 different companies: Ashley's Extracts, Ashley's Farm, and then Leonard J. Irving.
Correct.
Can you talk about what's being done to keep these entities relatively separate? My concern is that if one entity gets in trouble or there's an issue with their license, what does that mean for the other 2? So can you talk about how these are being kept a little bit separate within the facility?
Yeah, if you go back to the floor plan, you'll see that the growing area is segregated from the manufacturing area, and the Leonard J. Irving Center co-locates for growing and manufacturing. It's almost impossible to differentiate between this plant and that plant. But the bottom line is that they are separated, physically separated in the building. Does that answer your question?
You said it's impossible to differentiate from this plant to that plant, but will they be in separate rooms within the building? I see there appears to be essentially 3 of each room.
Ashley Irving. Ashley, were you intending to separate the growing areas for the 2 businesses?
Not necessarily, because we're required to have a virtual separation. So every plant will have a barcode, and that whether it's intended for medical or adult use will be associated with that barcode.
Okay.
So just like the previous applicant will be co-locating their medical and recreational growth within the same rooms. Same thing.
My concern is where it's 3 separate entities, how that will work.
If we lost the license to manufacture, we could still grow. It's just that we could not then press the oil out anymore. We'd have to sell the product as dry product.
My concern is Leonard J. Irving will be growing, as will Ashley's Farm be growing in the same location. So if one loses a license, what happens there? Does Leonard J. Irving then just say, well, these plants were mine? So it gets a little bit messy with the 3 different entities in the one location. And that's, I was hoping to see, when I saw that there were multiple rooms, I was hoping to see that there's separation. I understand that might not be legally a requirement. So I was just trying to wrap my head around that and understand
I suppose that we could designate, because the Leonard J. Irving growing operation and manufacturing is going to be much smaller than Ashley's Farm or Ashley's Extracts. Mm-hmm. We could certainly label doors if the council felt that that was an appropriate condition.
It would definitely clarify things for me. I don't want to put that restriction on there if the state doesn't require that.
I mean, is the question more about can different entities operate within the same building? In
how they
That I think
separate everything.
because we have common break areas. We have common locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be Ashley's Farm that did the extraction or the cultivation, but we've just chose to have different names.
Will the employees for, say, Leonard J. Irving also be helping out with Ashley's Extracts and vice versa?
The state requires an agent registration for each individual per entity that they work for. So, for instance, I'm registering myself as an agent for, 3 different adult use companies. I will have a different badge for Ashley's Farm, Ashley's Extracts, and Ashley's Inc., and I will need those whenever I'm in either of the areas.
And there is a security system interior with doors that are key coded, so you have to have the right badge to get into the right area?
So if I'm working there as a cultivator, my badge won't allow me in the extraction labs. It will only allow me in the areas. Every room will have an access code. Every room is a secured limited access area. And every door can be programmed on an employee's card as to where they can get in or can't get in, and at what time and what day they can get in.
In trying to understand this, it wrap my brain around it. So I understand that an individual may be an agent for Ashley's Farm and Leonard J. Irving and be able to work in both areas, but I assume they're collecting a paycheck from one entity or the other. And then if, say, that employee gets in trouble for diversion or something, what are the impacts of that? And I'm just trying, it's a little bit confusing to me. I apologize, but just with the multiple entities in the same building.
Well, if an employee got charged with violating the law in any way, they'd be immediately fired, and their badges would be revoked no matter who they worked for.
Across the board.
But we haven't gotten to the point yet of figuring out the payroll. That's a ways off. But I'm probably going to suggest to my client that each employee get 2 paychecks or 3 paychecks.
Well, we're absolutely planning to do that, and that's
Okay.
to follow all of the different tax requirements. We have to separate all of
Okay.
our labors per entity.
So, but it may be that you're working 20 hours a week for Leonard J. Irving and 20 hours a week for Ashley's Farm. Those are some details that we have yet to figure out exactly how that would go.
And if you come up with something to sort of give a broad overview of that impact, just because this is new to us and it's new with the multiple entities,
Okay.
I'd love to review that if it's.
Could we ask you to hold that at this point, and when we next come back before you, we'll have a way to address that question?
I'm very comfortable with that, yes.
I think, for me anyway, it feels like if Ashley's extract for some unforeseen reason either didn't work out, whatever happened, lost the license, couldn't do it anymore, you'd go down from 24 flower rooms to whatever you needed to support the rest of your business. You would take that business wouldn't operate anymore. Perhaps you wouldn't need that much space. You'd be trimming back the other pieces of your business to accommodate the loss of that. Not likely, given what we've heard from other applicants around the need to produce more, but that's sort of in my mind how I'm conceptualizing. You're starting with this.
Yeah.
You'd like to go to this, but really your business plan and your business model, in my mind, is going to drive how quickly you can do this. And you've sort of backed them up to one another. When I look at it, you're backed up to one another and have more. This addition allows you to grow more. It looks like in what your phase 2 is, but your primary operation of everything else is on the other side. That's just sort of how I separated it in my mind.
And I think that's an accurate depiction of what we're talking about. And so, yes, so business will determine how much growing there will be.
Councilor DeLisio.
Thank you. So Jack, you just said that you asked us to hold, so what exactly are we holding? Later on in the presentation, because I don't want to jump ahead to the end, but are you going to give us a breakdown of what Ashley's Extracts does versus what Ashley's Farms and how that breaks down? Because I think that would tie in a little bit more into Council Cobus's question.
Ashley's Farm is the cultivation. That's the growing.
Okay.
Ashley's Extracts is the manufacturing. That's drying and extracting and making edibles and making creams and solvents and those sorts of things out of the oil.
Thank you. Follow-up, if I could, President.
Yeah, sure.
You answered, I had 4 questions, aside from the last one. You answered lights, odor mitigation, and fire chief. So you're talking about 76, that's just going to be for the employees only, it's not going to be open to the public. It's where the majority of the product and manufacturing, the cultivation is going to be. Are you looking into any sort of a gated entrance where employees have to give a badge to get in? Is that something that's been discussed?
We considered that, and we would prefer not to have to do that. They have to, at the entrance to the building, they have to be badged in and go through security. But rather than putting a gate out at the entrance at 76 for that driveway that goes through between the two detention ponds, we would like to not make the place look any more like a prison than we already have.
I don't know, it looks like a prison. I think it looks pretty sharp from the designs, but
But what
I
I
was just
mean
curious.
is that we have, we have the barbed wire top fence that goes around 3 sides of the building.
Right, and that's where the
We
question
didn't want
came
to put
from.
it on the 4th side if we didn't have to.
Council Reynolds.
So I just want to clarify, because you have the manufacturing, the retailer, and the cultivator, right?
Right, correct.
So if we go back to Todd's question, if by chance the cultivator got fined or shut down for something, that would be shut down based on what you talked about, because you can't get into that room. I mean, you said you need badges to get in, correct? Into any of
It's our
those
own
rooms,
internal
for each
security
one.
system.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it got fined or shut down, that would be down. That would hurt the retailer, obviously, the retailing part of the business. So
Would have to buy
You'd have to buy
our
it somewhere
product
else.
from somewhere else.
Correct.
And if the farm lost its license
thing.
and got shut down, then the extracts would have to shut down because they'd have no
Right, so I
no
think
product.
I think that kind of answers your question. Am I correct in that?
To a
Because
certain extent.
It just, because I can't see how one could do the other, because they're not designed. One's designed to do retail, one's designed to do the cultivation, and one is designed to do the manufacturing. So whatever is going to be shut down, fined, or whatever, is totally separate.
There's
So-
duplication between Leonard J. Irving for cultivation, manufacturing, and retail.
But it would still be hard to mix them, you know what I mean?
Well,
If there was a fine for somebody doing something within the,
right, but if, what I think he's asking is if, for instance, Leonard J. Irving lost its license, we would just have to exclude it from this building.
that's right.
It'd be the,
But really, we don't want to focus too much on us losing our license.
No,
I haven't heard this brought up
I
ever
so
before.
agree with you. I just wanted to clarify what I was thinking. I don't see how it can actually happen. It would, anyway, that's all. I just wanted to clarify.
Council Holmes and then Blair.
Thank you. Well, I wasn't thinking about it in terms of losing a license, more so if there's an audit, how would you signal where they should do more of an audit mindset?
Oh, and I think that's a valid question, and I think I'm going to talk to my clients about whether various spaces within 76 need to be designated, the Leonard J. Irving Growing Center as opposed to the Ashley's Farm Growing Center. We want to talk about that and get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you. Council Blair.
I'm just going to make a comment. There's not many manufacturers we got out there that don't have different divisions under different corporate names. So I don't see this any different than a large manufacturing, jewelry manufacturing, and I'm just picking that out of the air, which has different divisions, different corporations, they all fall under one. It's a way of doing business, it's tax-wise, number of reasons why you have different divisions within a conglomerate. And I think probably, if I'm not reading your books, but I am assuming that has a lot to do with it.
It does, Counselor, because federal tax law only allows certain deductions for marijuana businesses, and so cost of goods sold is a lawful deduction, but other items that are normally deducted by businesses aren't. And so keeping the books separate for the entities actually is important for filing tax returns.
That's what I was trying to get to, Jeff.
And you were right.
I owned a realty corp at one time, it's a realty, and we also had Blair Service Station, and I had another company, so we all worked together, but it was for tax reasons mostly.
So that concludes my comments on this public hearing, unless you have other questions.
I do not. We will also leave that public hearing. Oh, no, I've got to keep going. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition?
said it all.
Francis Balut from 120 Carrier Avenue. There's probably more informational requests than opposition at this point. I would just like to know what differences, if any, does this retailer sell from Extension Street?
Basically,
Are they selling the same medical marijuana and recreation, or the adult marijuana?
This is
At
this is
both
about
locations?
manufacturing.
Right.
Ashley's Extracts, not about a retailer.
Right. So this particular application, Francis, is about the manufacturing.
Strictly manufacturing?
That's right, sir.
Okay.
And
Is the opening date going to be approximately the same?
no.
Uh,
No, this building, Francis, this building doesn't exist and will be built after.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone neither for nor against? At this point, we'll also leave that public hearing open.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Okay.
Withers, we'll move right on along to...
Moving right along. Public hearing relative to the application for a special permit pursuant to Section 17-10.15 marijuana business of the revised zoning ordinance from the Ashley's, Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, Mass., to operate a marijuana retailer at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessors Plat Number 147, portion of Lot Number 5F with an area of 1.1434 acres, located in an industrial zoning district.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Mr. President, members of the council, Jack Jacoby, 144 Bank Street. I'd like to incorporate all of the remarks from the previous hearings into this one, with your permission.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, I've already walked you through the retail operation when we did the first hearing for 70 Frank Mossberg for the Leonard J. Irving Center. Nothing is different than what we talked about there. It's still the same entrance, the same sales associates, the same back room to fulfill orders. So I don't have anything further to say.
Thank you. Just as a, to be clear, that's Plan A1.1, which is
Yes,
the
I
same
think that-
plan from the previous, just so that councilors and the record is clear.
That's correct.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Jacoby at this time? Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone else here is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Is there anybody neither for nor against? Ashley's, Inc. at 70 Frank Mossberg Drive. Seeing none, any questions again from the council? No. We'll also keep that public hearing open at this time.
Thank you.
Would you kindly read the notice for the next?
Yes, I will. It's a public hearing relative to the application for a special permit pursuant to Section 17-10.15, marijuana business of the revised zoning ordinances from the Ashley's Farm, Inc., 81 West Street, Attleboro, to operate a marijuana cultivator at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. Said premises being Assessors Plat Number 145, portion of Lot Number 1, with an area of 6.2842 acres located in an industrial zoning district.
Thank you. This is cultivation. I'm just keeping it straight. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the council, Jack Jacoby, 144 Bank Street, representing the applicant. I think we've extensively covered the farm operation in the extracts hearing. I'd like to incorporate by reference all of those remarks in this hearing, and unless you have questions, I have nothing further to add.
Any questions for Attorney Jacoby at this time? Council Cobus?
I do have one, and this might be a question more for Ashley. With regards to her business on West Street, does that run 3 shifts or multiple shifts? And will there be a concern where I think the hours of operation are restricted between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. for manufacturing, or is that just retail? I forget which.
I believe that's just the retail sales. I believe that
So
there
I
are
could
no
be mistaken.
hourly restrictions on the manufacturing or the growing.
Is the intent to work 3 shifts then?
Ashley.
We'd like to be able to be open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. so we could run 2 shifts. We will not run overnight.
Okay,
Our state license is set up for those hours.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Attorney Jacoby at this time? Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? And this is of Ashley's Farm at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive. Is there anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone in opposition? Is there anyone neither for nor against? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Hearing none, we'll also keep this public hearing open. And
finally, we have a public hearing relative to the application for a special permit pursuant to Section 17-10.15 marijuana business of the revised zoning ordinances from the Leonard J. Irving Center, Inc. of 81 West Street, Attleboro, to operate a medical marijuana treatment center at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive, said premises being Assessor's Plat number 145, portion of Lot number 1, with an area of 6.2842 acres located in an industrial zoning district.
thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Jack Jacoby, 144 Bank Street, representing the applicant. Again, I'd like to incorporate all of the previous remarks. The reason for this permit is that the Leonard J. Irving Center is required by DPH to have its own growing facility and its own manufacturing facility. As we've said, they'll be co-located. We're going to get back to you on the issue of whether rooms need to be separately labeled or not. But other than that, I think we've covered it all.
Great. Any questions for Attorney Jacoby at this time? Council Copus.
And the only question I have here is where we would be permitting this for essentially an RMD, which would also allow retail, but the intent isn't to do retail at 76 Frank Mossberg Drive.
No.
I don't think we need to do anything on our part, but I want to make sure that that's very explicitly spelled out.
If you were to grant the special permit and you were to put a condition that the Leonard J. Irving Center could not sell at retail from 76, that's our intention.
Perfect, okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Hearing none, we'll also keep, but before I do that,
Yes.
Attorney Jacoby, once all these special permits are voted and granted, I get a friendly letter from DPH that asks me about 6 questions that then I have to go dig through the record to find.
We would be happy to help you draft an answer if you so asked.
Would you kindly get the 6 or 7 questions from Virginia and track the answers to those questions as the process moves along for these applications, so that when the time comes, you can submit that, and then I can just reference that, sign it, and send it to DPH. It's very redundant to the information that's in the application that you send to them, but nevertheless, it happens with every application.
So would this only be for the Leonard J. Irving Center?
Well, I don't know on the others for the retail.
The CCC regulates the others, and the DPH only regulates the Leonard J. Irving.
I know, but we haven't had any from the CCC yet, so I'm worried that they'll follow the same nonsense. So what I don't want to do is delay your application because we have to go through piles of paper to find the answer.
Happy to organize the information for you.
Thank you. Anything other questions? We will keep this public hearing open as well at this time. Thank you all for your patience, and I know that the council as well, but we wanted to do it this way, so we had separate and distinct applications and special permits. So thank you all.
Thank you all for your time tonight and for listening to our applications, and I will consult with Virginia as to an appropriate continuance date and ask for that in writing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Jacoby.
Thanks, Jack.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The council's recess till 8, about 5 minutes, 8:30.
so angry. They lit up.
They understand that.
So we are going on to the mayor's communication.
December 4th, 2018, dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Nicholas Lavoy, 25 Daly Street, to the Traffic Study Commission, term to expire February 2020. Copies in your
Personnel and
packet.
Human Services Committee, please.
My office, along with Senior Land Use Planner Stephanie Davies, has continued to work on incentive programs with National Grid to complete retrofit projects in the Attleboro Public Library, the South Attleboro Fire Station, and the decorative streetlights. The program is exempt from Chapter 30B as procurement participation falls under Mass General Law, Chapter 25A, Section 14. The estimated savings realized in consumable energy costs will offset the city's capital expenditure for the program over a 36-month period. The initial cost of the program is paid upfront from National Grid to ENE Systems, Inc., the firm that will complete the work. While after the 36-month period, the city will realize an overall savings in utility costs, during the first 36 months after the retrofits are completed, the city will need to pay what is known as an on-bill repayment. Essentially, for the first 36 months, the saving and the reduced energy costs will pay for the upgrade. Based on the estimated timeline for the project completion and the projected project costs, the amount for fiscal year 2019 is $32,499.24. As this is an estimate, this amount may require adjustment near the end of the fiscal year. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to transfer $32,499.24 from Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to the following: $9,898.02 to account Citywide Retrofit Lights, $10,360.86 to account Fire Retrofit Lights, $12,240.36 to account Library Retrofit Lights. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer will be $237,862.84.
Thank you. Capital Improvements and City Development Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Attleboro Public Schools Director of Finance, Mark Furtado, regarding fiscal year 2018 fiscal year obligations that were not received in time to be processed in the normal fiscal year 2018 business cycle. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to authorize the school department to pay these previous year schools bills totaling $8,245.84 as identified in Mr. Furtado's communication. Copies in your packets.
Budget Committee.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Schools David Sawyer regarding a donation of 35 electronic musical keyboards with an estimated value of $1,820 from Coelho PTO. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept this generous donation to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Treasurer Laura Gignac regarding the need for additional funding for anticipated legal fees for old tax title accounts and foreclosure. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to transfer $40,000 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Treasurer Professional Services. Upon approval, the available balance in the Reserve Fund for transfer will be $197,862.84. Copies in your packets.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I hereby, I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Catherine Ferrick to fill the 2-year term of Economic Development Director, term to expire February 2021. Ms. Ferrick was offered the position with the City of Attleboro effective December 26, 2018, under a temporary 90-day appointment in accordance with Section 3-3B of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter. Resume in your packets.
Personnel and Human Services, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veteran Services, Ken Badicher, regarding the donation of Stop and Shop gift certificates from the Attleboro Elks totaling $1,700. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept this generous donation to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veteran Services, Ken Badicher, regarding a donation of Market Basket and Stop and Shop gift certificates from the Holiday Spirit Committee totaling $400. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept this generous donation to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from a Health Department Public Health Nurse, Jacqueline Joyle O'Brien, regarding the donation of $100 in Stop and Shop food gift cards, and $300 in Market Basket gift cards from the Holiday Spirit Committee. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept these generous gifts to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Paulo Salgario Jr., 9 Richard Street, to the Traffic Study Commission. Term to expire February 2021. Copies in your packets.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Budget and Administration Barry O'Cass regarding the need to make capital repairs to the Sanford Street Municipal Parking Garage. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to appropriate $375,000 from account undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, to fund Sanford Parking Garage. Copies in your packets.
Capital Improvement City Development Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Council on Aging Madeline McNeely regarding the donation of Market Basket gift cards from the Holiday Spirit Committee totaling $200. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept this generous donation to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Haru, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll go on to the reading of the other communications.
Okay, we received an application from National Grid to replace direct buried cable with new AL cable inside PVBC conduit throughout Augsburg Drive, fed from riser P8149 on Slater Street.
Public Works Committee. Does that require a public hearing?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yes, I do too. Councilor Dolan, would you like to call for a public hearing on that matter on December 18th? Is the next meeting, right?
So that requires a
Yes.
public hearing if
Yes.
it's just replacement of cables?
I believe it does.
Yes, then I would.
So, all in favor of public hearing on December 18th, 2018?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We will have a public hearing on 12/18/18 for that matter. Thank you.
Okay. We received an application for renewal of a Class II license from Jeffrey A. Millette of Seekonk for 30 Man LLC to sell used vehicles at 30 Man Street, Attleboro, with 4 customer parking spaces and 23 display spaces.
License Committee, please.
We received a communication from Gerald Chase of 142 Fairway Drive to request the council consider renaming Wamsutta Middle School to the Francis M. Driscoll Middle School.
No, Jerry Chase really live at 142 Fairway
What's that?
Drive?
No.
No, he doesn't. That's the wrong address.
It is the wrong address.
He lives on Nick Rock Road.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, he does. There's a
Rock Road is near the elementary school?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, scratch the address.
Yes.
I don't know the
Please
number,
do.
but
Sorry about that. I just want to make sure.
That's
that-
okay.
Right, I have, he also sent the letter to my house as well. Yes, 48 Nick Rock Road is Mr. Chase's address. Thank you. Copy to all counselors and the administration and the school committee.
We received a communication that accompanied a revised site plan for 76 and 70 Frank Mossberg Drive for 5 proposed marijuana businesses with public hearing on December 4th, 2018.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
We received submission of course completion documents from Courtney Wunschel, Acting Water Superintendent. Copies in your packets.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
We received an application for renewal of a Class II license from Raymond Klebe of 923 Washington Street for Raymar Auto Sales, Inc., with 7 customer parking spaces and 33 display spaces.
License Committee, please.
We received a communication from Superintendent of Wastewater Thomas Hayes regarding applications, 5 of them, for marijuana business at 70 and 76 Frank Mossberg Drive.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
We received a communication from Acting Superintendent of Water Courtney Wunschel regarding the application, the 5 application for marijuana business at 70-76 Frank Mossberg Drive.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
We received a communication from City Auditor Deb Gould advising the Massachusetts Department of Revenue certified the fiscal year 2019 tax rate through the Bureau of Accounts of Attleboro.
Budget, no, I'm sorry, copies are in your packet.
And we received this communication from Scott G. Jones regarding his reappointment to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee and his inability to attend the December 4th, 2018 meeting.
There are copies in your packet.
And that is all.
Thank you.
Just a quick
yes, sir.
question. It's like copies in our packets. I didn't receive copies of a number of things, backup information.
So what, Virginia will make those for everybody. We only have time to do the one for me, so you'll all get copies, if you didn't. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to go into committee of the whole.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council on any matter of city business at this time? I entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, motion passes. Moving right on to committee reports as soon as I get mine. And we will begin with Councilor Waterman.
Yes, from the docket of December 4th, 2018, I'd like to make a motion to confirm the following appointments. Seth Hodge, be appointed to the Council on Human Rights, 3-year term, expiring February 2021. Donovan Riley, be appointed to the Youth Commission, 2-year term, expiring February 2020. Kurt Wheaton, appointed to the Council on Aging, 4-year term, expiring February 2022. Scott Jones, appointed to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee for 3 years, expiring February 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Motion's in order. Any questions or comments? Councilor Delicio, then Cobus.
Just want to thank our friend Kurt Wheaton for sitting through the public hearings. Kurt's a great addition, and as is Donovan and all these fellows, especially Scott. So congratulations on everyone's reappointments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Did you skip the first name on here, or did I just miss it?
You missed it, I think.
No.
Okay.
Are you talking about Seth Hodge, or are you talking about what name?
Just the first name.
Oh, okay.
I might have just missed it.
That was amended because when I spoke with him last week, he plans to be moving out of the city, so he didn't want to take another term.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other?
Kurt, I didn't get to see you, but thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, sorry, so much.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is a roll call vote. It's not on my sheet, but that's roll.
It's a voice vote.
Yeah. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.
And now I also would like to move to confirm the appointment of Ellen Parker. This is from the docket of December 4th as well. 65 Norgate Road to the Council on Human Rights, term to expire February 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Any motions in order? Any questions or comments? Hearing none, this also requires a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.
And the third and last, from the docket of November 20th, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $4,950 from account 1124100-578300, the citywide reserve fund, for transfer to account 1124100-578020, citywide bills from previous years, in order to reimburse an employee for successfully completing courses enrolled during fiscal year 2018.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments, Council Waterman? Anything from the council, anything?
We're all set.
This requires a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Council Waterman.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business of the Personnel Committee. Call for the committee at the next appropriate time.
You got it. Thank you. Well done. Council Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee from the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to allow the Planning Department to expend approximately $500,000 in any further amendments of the grant from the Commonwealth's Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs Dam and Seawall Fund Program relative to the Dodgeville Pond Dam renovations Phase 1B construction project.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Council Conti.
Yes, many councilors were on the tour with the Capital Improvements Committee for the Dodgeville Dam, where we saw the completion of Phase 1A. And this $500,000 is from the EOEEA for Phase 1B, which is just the beginning of a very long program. And I heartily encourage the support of my fellow councilors, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Council Blair.
Just to thank Gary Arazian for his hard work in getting that grant. Did a good job.
Well said.
Yes, definitely. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes the business the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We request a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council Cobus.
Reporting for zoning and land use, I do not have any business tonight, and would call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council Delissio.
Thank you. There is no business in front of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Would like to call for a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Council Dolan.
Reporting for Public Works Committee from the docket of December 4th, 2018. I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $8,000 from account wastewater enterprise fund, reserve fund for transfer, to account wastewater enterprise fund maintenance of software regarding the need for funds to upgrade the software used to remotely access sewer tie sheets and also to convert all existing files.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments or questions?
I know Kate went over this in pretty good detail during committee, if anybody was here, but if anybody has any questions, I can try to get some answers for you from her.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That's all the business for Public Works Committee, and I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, President.
Nope, wait a minute.
Actually, I
She's
do
got-
licenses.
she's got licenses now.
Sorry. Reporting for License Committee, I have 8 motions. From the docket of November 20th, 2018, I move to approve the following applications for a Class 2 auto renewal license for 2019. State Line Auto Brokers, Inc., 1115 Washington Street, Attleboro, with 6 customer parking spaces, 42 display spaces, and 55 storage spaces. Next, CAMS Automotive Service, DBA Paris Auto Body at 21 Chartier Street, Attleboro, with 9 customer parking spaces and 20 display spaces. South Attleboro Auto Sales, Inc., at 411 Washington Street, Attleboro, with 10 customer parking spaces and 30 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Any from the council? Hearing none, this requires a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the application for a coin-op amusement device license for 2 devices from Demoulas Supermarket Market Basket at 1200 Newport Avenue, Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
None.
Any from the council? Hearing none, this requires a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the application from Tri-Town Auto at 1850 County Street, Attleboro, for a Class 2 license with 4 customer parking spaces and 6 display spaces to buy and sell secondhand motor vehicles.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments?
No comments.
Hearing none, a voice vote is required. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
I'm not sure if I was, excuse me. From the docket of December 4th, I move to approve the application from Tri-Town Auto of 1850 County Street, Attleboro, for a Class 3 license with 4 customer parking spaces, 6 display.
Didn't you just do that one?
No, this is for a Class 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'll just start that one over, if that's all right.
Sure.
I move to approve the application from Tri-Town Auto of 1850 County Street, Attleboro, for a Class 3 license with 4 customer parking spaces, 6 display spaces to buy and sell secondhand motor vehicles.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No comments.
Voice vote is, any from the council? Voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the application from Junior's Bar and Grill of 147 Pine Street for an automatic amusement device license for 2 pool tables and 1 jukebox.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No comments.
Hearing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of November 20th, 2018, I move to approve the application for a Class 2 license from Gas Bar, Inc., DBA Jane Motor Group, 1856 County Street, Attleboro, with 4 customer parking spaces and 20 display spaces.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No comments. This is the one we had the public hearing on.
This requires a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
That's all the business I have for License Committee. I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great, thank you. Council Reynolds.
Thank you, President Cooper. Reporting for City Property and Claims Committee from the docket of December 4th, 2018. I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept the donation of Stop and Shop gift certificates from Larry Qualia totaling $50 to Veterans Services.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I have none.
Thank you. This requires a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept the donation of Stop and Shop gift certificates from the American Legion Post Number 20, totaling $300 to Veterans Services.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No, pretty self-explanatory. Thank you.
Thank you. This also requires a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
I move to approve the request of the mayor to declare the following water department vehicle as surplus for resale value and available for disposition. It is a 1987 GMC 3500 dump truck. The VIN number is 1GDG R34J8HS514022. The miles are 72,428 and it's in poor condition.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Council Waterman. Oh, Blair. Okay.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That is all the business from City Property and Claims Committee this evening. I would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great. Council Holmes.
Thank you. Reporting for ordinance, election, legislative matters. There's no business this evening, and I'll call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Council Blair.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for Public Safety Emergency Management. From the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $15,860.39 from account 1124100-578300, Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1210100-585021, Police Security Systems, regarding the need for funds to replace the Police Department Access Control Management System.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order.
We discussed this in committee. If there's any other questions.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to allow the Planning and Land Use Department to expend approximately $18,000 in any future grant amendments from the grant from the Massachusetts Energy Management Agency to help fund, in part, the update of the city's pre-disaster hazard migration plan.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Again, I'd like to thank Gary and the planning department for their good work in getting that grant, because ultimately, we would have been responsible for the whole amount.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. And from the docket of December 4th, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor, to appropriate $6,000 from account 1000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 2319 hazardous migration plan regarding the local match for the grant from the Massachusetts Energy Management Agency and the update of the city's pre-disaster hazardous migration plan.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman? Waterman?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much.
That's all the business I have this evening for public safety and emergency management. Request a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Thank you. There is no old business.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
the Rules and Procedures Committee would like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. That was going to be one of my announcements at the end. She posted for, Virginia posted at our direction from your email, 12/12/18 at 7 in the annex room. Do you want to have one before that?
That's a different thing, Mr.
Okay.
President. That's a committee meeting of the Rules and Procedure Committee, of which I do want you to attend, and all councils are invited. But next week, I would like the Rules and Procedures Committee to have a committee meeting, because I wish to bring a motion out for the
Great.
committee to take out.
Perfect.
And so I want to call for a committee meeting.
Great, thank you.
We will also be having the Special Committee for Tax Abatement Review will be having committee meeting next week as well.
Perfect, thank you. There is no old business, there is no new business. Before we adjourn again, 12/12, Rules of Procedure meeting in the annex room at 7 p.m. And then the joint meeting between the SBC, the school, and the council is Wednesday, December 19th at 6:30 in the Bray Auditorium. That was the one that was rescheduled. And then on the, as Virginia's planning for 2019, you'll be getting a special meeting notice at the next meeting for a special meeting on January 8th, because there's time with the holidays being on Tuesday, both being on Tuesdays, that we should plan for a special meeting on the 8th to do committee meetings first, followed by a regular special meeting to vote anything out that's been backlogged as a result of a several-week hiatus. Any other questions or comments? At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned. All in favor? Aye. Adjourned at 9:07.
God, you called it at 9:02.
No, I didn't. I said it earlier.